Hello and welcome to Connections, Forum for Relationship Expression and Healing. This is episode 27. And today we're going to talk about music. Could you hear that? So our show offers single episodes and short series of talks, interviews regarding the most important areas of human life, such as relationships issues, personal expression, and self-development, as well as healing of these areas. The purpose of our shows is to give inspiration and teach skills with which to handle the emotional upheavals in which everybody ends up from time to time. And so today's title is Music, the Language of Emotions. I am M.Crystal Lotus, an intuitive life and business mentor who help professional women overcome emotional overwhelm and stress so that they can restore their energy and fulfilling their relationship and make their career flourish. Heidi.
Yeah, I'm Heidi hornlein or Adelheid Hörnlein. I'm a transformational coach and a relationship coach. And actually, before all that, I was a professional singer, a classical singer, and then a voice coach, voice therapist. And that leads us into the choice of this episode. The language of emotions, music. And for this episode, we have invited Sue Aston, and I'm sure you know her already. She is a classical trained violinist and composer who is inspired by the natural landscapes, and she transmits the visual pictures of her surroundings via music. And in my opinion, she is a very gifted performer. And she has really reached the landmark of ease and naturalness, which makes music so attractive and touching for us listeners, because everybody thinks, oh, this is so natural, and almost nobody knows how much work is behind our performances until we seem natural in the performance. So Sue is hosting the Sue Aston Show, and she and her family have recently performed together in My Music Hangout, hosted by Christine de Graaf. And in the description for this show, you will find the link and you can listen to it, to this beautiful music the whole family did. So hello, Sue.
Hello. Thank you very much for asking me to come on.
Oh, it's my pleasure, real pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, and before we go into the show, please, who is listening, leave your comments down here. And even if you listen to the replay, leave your comments and we will come up to you and answer them. So, Sue, you are a violinist and, as I said, a very gifted performer, because I really, from the first time on, I loved your music. I mean, I love Celtic music anyway, but when I heard you and saw you play in this ease and naturalness, which I talked about before, I was sort of, my heart opened, and it's certainly, this is emotion on my part.
Thank you. That's so kind of you.
So I wonder, when you did the emotion, when you did the show with the whole family, and you said it's the first time that everybody took part, and how was it before? How were your emotions and the emotion in your family members? Can you talk about that?
It was such it was such an emotional thing to do. It's the first time that we'd all played together, really properly. And I think we were just in a very strange place in our minds. We were just sort of very blown away that we were all going to perform together and actually all be on the camera at the same time, because I don't think we've ever been on camera all together, all the four of us, and to think that we're all going to perform. Well, it was a little bit tense, shall we say, but I don't know, I just felt that we all had to do it, and we're all just felt as though we were on this path that we just had to just do it, and we knew that we wanted to do it as well. So yeah, but it was quite a strange day, because we had to sort of all get into the zone. But it's amazing, once the show started, that we just kind of just went with the flow, and yeah, we just didn't know what the reception was going to be like or if it would work. So yeah, almost we felt a little bit out of control, but felt as though we were being guided and all just moved to create this music. So it was quite an amazing experience for us.
Isn't it a proverb who says when the show begins, the show goes on? Something like that. We have it in German. Before we might be nervous and oh God, if I forget this and if this will happen and this will happen.
I know.
And then you are there and your nervousness is sort of, I wouldn't say disappeared, but it is not being patron of yourself anymore.
That's
you go
right.
in a different space and you just do. And you named it nicely with the flow.
Yes, I always think playing music's a little bit like an athlete just before they run a race. It's the same feeling. You get the adrenaline and you think, oh, I hope I'm not going to trip over or do anything. And but as soon as, you know, the starting gun goes off, as soon as the broadcast starts, you just kind of get into this place in your mind, and it only really happens once you're actually in it, once you're in the moment, and you just kind of get carried along with it. So yeah, it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, and go on, Margareta.
Yeah, I was feeling that when I heard you first time, it was like an angel was there. Because you were shining out, the light around your head was shining out, and then I was just getting goosebumps. That was a really lovely feeling, actually. So that's what struck me with you.
Thank you so much. Well, that's a lovely thing to say. I don't think my family would call me an angel, but I'm glad you did. I'm sure they would, really.
I want to come back a little bit to this emotional feeling, and that going into this flow we were speaking about. I think this is sort of a professional way of doing that, because I don't want that listeners who have had some experience of singing or playing in the public and had quite a different experience, that they think that is normal and that should be. I mean, just to share a little bit out of my experience, the first time I sang in a cantata of Bach, the solo aria in a church, in a mass, you know, how do you say, you shouldn't name that, but I had some sort of caca in my pants, you know, because I was really so...
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, I was completely out of, you know, out of myself. And this went better and better. The more I did this, singing in public, it went better. And then finally it came to the state that I can enjoy to sing for other people, you know, and I don't, things like that don't happen anymore to me.
That's good.
Just to make it clear, if you are the first few times you go out and play music for somebody, it's very, very normal that you are still inside of the emotions and that you don't have yet the means of calming these emotions. And that's what the next question for you is, Sue, is how, if you remember, how did you learn to calm the anxiety, the performance anxiety? I think you had it, as everybody had it at the beginning. Yes. I don't know, maybe not, but...
Absolutely, no. I think if you're a sensitive person, and I think all musicians are sensitive by the very nature of what we do, then you are going to feel nervous. And it amazes me that you hear some really famous musicians. I think Jeff Beck, the guitarist, was being interviewed, and he said he's terrified now. Still, every time he goes on stage, he's so frightened. And when you look at him perform, he looks so relaxed. And I think we do all get nervous, but I think it's experience. You kind of build on the positive experiences, and it's a gradual sort of progression like that. But I think you rehearse as well as a classical sort of instrumentalist, and you'll understand this, Heidi, is because when you practice you can kind of go on autopilot a bit, can't you? And I think that always helps as well, is to be prepared. I think things can go wrong when you maybe aren't as prepared, or if you've been busy or distracted. You do need some time to just kind of get ready and not always practicing, but just being quiet and still and going through it in your mind. I do a lot of preparation for my shows in my mind. If I'm lying in bed, I'll wake up and I'll just go through it in my head and just imagine playing all the notes, and I can hear the music. So I do a lot of preparation sort of in my own mind, really. It's not always just practicing. So being prepared, I think, is the thing.
This is a very important thing, being prepared, because at the beginning of my career, I thought I would need to just be able to sing from the score, you know, and then when it didn't happen, I was so in anxiety that I wouldn't get the entrance when the orchestra plays or the piano plays, and that I wouldn't get it, and then I get into, you know, and then I discovered that I just wasn't prepared enough, and from then on, I prepared so well that, you know, even if I didn't think about, my body would begin to sing by itself when the right moment came. So.
Yes, that's brilliant. Autopilot, isn't it? It's so important.
It is a self-conditioning, really. Yeah. And the other thing you are talking about, this is very, very important, that many of our studies we can do mentally, and there are researches about that you don't have to use your voice until you are out of voice, or you have your hands hurt. You can do at least half of the study work by imagination, and it really works. Our mind is built in this way that it is, I wouldn't say almost the same, but it is very, very complementary to each other.
Yes.
And for singers, it's especially important because there are so many who do a lot of da 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 all the time, the whole day, and at the end they have no voice anymore. You know.
That's right.
But they can do that by imagination. That is a really important thing. Thank you.
Definitely.
Can I ask you a question, Sue?
Yeah, of course.
We talk about being nervous, right? I mean, I remember as a kid at the piano recital, my sister and I was going to do the piano, right? And my fingers froze. I couldn't do it. And she says, "What's wrong with you?" And she's 7 years younger than me, right? She developed then to be a ballet dancer, but that's a different story. But what I wanted to ask you is, the music that you're producing, or any musician, or any sound in a coherent, harmonious way, makes room for healing. What's your experience when you're playing and somebody is listening, even yourself, right, or your family? What can happen? What do you think?
Well, I wrote a piece of music called The Homecoming, and I just wrote it on the piano and didn't think too much about it, and it became really popular. And I've had a lot of people say that, you know, they've been seriously ill or they've had hardships in their life, and listening to the music has given them a lot of comfort, and that is just a wonderful thing, to think that you've helped people. And I know myself, you know, maybe if I'm feeling a bit down or something, if I pick up my violin, you know, I think, no, I will play today. You kind of battle through that mental feeling, that by the time I've been playing for about 20 minutes or so, that my mood has completely lifted. It's just amazing. And sometimes if I've had something like toothache and I've started playing the violin, I think it must be the vibrations or something, completely makes my toothache go away. I mean, it's just amazing the way music can literally lift your mood and heal you.
Yeah, we know about music therapy, how important and how effective it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you name vibrations. You know, in music therapy, often who has the piano as the instrument, they put people on the instrument and make them feel the vibrations in the body.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Or if you have a harp or a big instrument, you can embrace, so you can feel the vibration going into your body and really doing something in your body. And you know what? The best instrument you have to feel the vibrations is your voice.
Oh, yes, of course. That's true.
Your voice is all the time producing vibrations, and you can do something which is called something like sound yoga, and you sing on different vowels, and you can feel where these vowels are
Oh,
located, what
yes.
parts of your body are innervated, how do you say, put into vibration. And, you know, I use this, for instance, when I had my menstruation problems. I don't have them anymore, but when I had them, I used the vowel U, which is very low in the body. And I did it a long time with quite a low note, and then slowly the pain disappeared.
It's
Because
amazing.
it's
Well,
really...
that's the sound for the lower chakras, right? The ooh, that's the in the root chakra, and of course it's physical body, right? On the sacral chakra, maybe.
So
Yeah.
it is healing, not only physical, not only mental healing or mood healing or whatever, but also physical healing, as you said, with a toothache. It is
Yeah.
amazing. And so few people know about it, you know?
Yeah, when you think about it. And there's Phil, my husband, he's a yoga teacher. And we used to do something called the hummingbird, which is where you put your fingers over your ears and you hum and keep it very constant. And I think you can even cover your eyes as well. And the vibrations go all through your body, and it kind of reduces blood pressure, high blood pressure, and so calming. It's just amazing what you can do. And as you say, most people don't know. They don't know about it. It's a shame, isn't it?
It is really a shame. You can do now also these things by listening to meditations and whatever. But the more effective way is really to do it yourself on your
definitely.
own body.
That's right.
So isn't that a bit like chanting? Like we are in a spiritual sangha, let's say, and then we chant together the prayers, or we pronounce the mantras together, whatever that is, and afterwards it's like one is so unified, harmonized, and I think that the vibrations of those prayers or mantras, let's say, they go out and they have healing effect on the body and the mind and the soul, let's say. I remember one time when we were in a retreat, there was a man there had a didgeridoo. You know, this long tube Australian things. So then he says, "I'll lay down on the ground," so on the blanket there, and then he stood by my feet, and this humongous instrument, then he started to play it, and he starts like very low, like I can't make it down, but like I felt it was like a wave of energy going from my feet, and he worked sort of, he didn't move physically, but he played my feet first, then he played my knees, then he played my lower body, and then it goes all the way up to the crown, and afterwards I was like floating.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Like 20 minutes of that. He did it 20 minutes in a row with this breathing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
It can happen, yeah.
It's very scientific, isn't it? I think some people who doubt it, you know, it is based on science because it's sound waves, isn't it? It's a physical thing that's affecting.
Absolutely physical, nothing esoteric.
That's right.
No. Yeah, what I would like you to speak a little bit to is, as a performer, we want to reach our audience. And I know you do it perfectly. And I wonder, do you know how you do it?
Not really, no. I think it's just, I think you have to find your own voice. And I think I'm just starting to find my own voice more and more now. I don't think I've always been such a confident performer. When I was at school, I wouldn't put myself forward to play solos, even though I wanted to, because I was too shy. And I'm just so glad that my boys have more confidence than I did. But I think as time goes by, you know, you feel it in your heart that you have to do music. You're compelled to do it. You don't have a choice. Sometimes you try and think, well, I'll give it up and do something easier, but it won't let you go. You have to keep on with it. And I think as time's gone by, I think I've seen my children be so confident, and it's inspired me, and it's made me more confident and find my own voice and think, actually, it's just about enjoyment, isn't it? You know, I think classical training is a wonderful thing, but it can have a very negative effect on people because it's criticism a lot of the time. I know it's constructive criticism, but nevertheless, it's, oh, you've got to do it this way. No, not like that. It's very, very detailed and a bit nitpicky. And I think over time that can wear you away. So I think I've just learnt to be my own person and see other people that are natural performers and think, I want to be like that. I know that's what I want to do. And we all reach that feeling at different times of our life. And yeah, thank goodness that we do.
Yeah, I have done a little bit, let's say, personal research on this topic by experience, because
Yes.
when I went to Rome, I was for 15 years a choir leader of the
Wow.
German church there. And there was especially one moment where I understood how this works, because we had to do a concert in the famous, I forgot this round building, this old round building, Castel Sant'Angelo.
Yeah.
And we came there and there were no chairs for the audience. And there was not even a chair for the piano player. And the piano was an electric piano, and when he set it up, the cord didn't work. So they had to find another piano. And altogether, we wanted to make a rehearsal before, and we ended up not to be able to do any rehearsal.
Oh,
and my
wow.
choir people ran around and nervous, and oh, what can we do? And we should, and what? And they tried to get me into panic too. And I understood, if I go into panic, then the concert is done. And so I worked on myself to really remain quiet and, we will do it. It's no problem. We have studied it 10,000 times. We will do it. Don't worry. And we did a wonderful concert.
Fantastic.
But that was the moment when I really understood how much the ability to calm down your own negative emotions and not being touched by other people's negative emotions.
That's right.
Is important to be able to perform and in a good way, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, goodness me. Things never go smoothly, do they? In performances, hardly ever. There's always something, isn't there? Something
It is a school in creativity and spontaneity.
That's true.
Yeah. The other thing, you are describing the landscapes with your music. Can you say a little bit more? Because it arrives emotionally something at the listener. Yeah.
I've always loved nature since I was a little girl. I was an only child, and I used to spend a lot of time just sitting in the garden and listening to the birds, looking at the trees and feeling the wind blow. I was always really in touch with nature and the landscape. And 10 years ago, we uprooted from a city. We lived in Birmingham. And we didn't have a job to go to, but we knew we needed to move to Cornwall because Cornwall was where all my music was inspired by. It's such a beautiful place. It's full of myths and legends, and the scenery is fantastic. So yeah, we uprooted ourselves and the children, and luckily it worked out. We found work immediately, and because of that, I've been able to be constantly inspired by the landscape. And we've got the north coast of Cornwall, which is very wild and rugged, and you can feel the elements there, and the weather's always changing. And then we're on the south coast, which is milder, and it's quite Mediterranean on certain days. And it's so varied in Cornwall. The landscape is just so beautiful and rugged, and you get the most amazing tropical plants and palm trees. It doesn't feel like the rest of Britain, actually. It does feel like a place all on its own. So it's a very inspiring place to write.
And how do you, let's see what this comment, Margarita has brought up a comment, how can we reach more people so they can also discover the healing power of music and singing? Yeah, we might discuss that in the future.
Yeah.
Do our best.
Well, I think shows like this, getting the message across to people through shows, and people can see the effect that it has on real people's lives. I think that's the best way to do it, really.
I still would come back to that. How do you put the emotions which you perceive when you are in this landscape? How do you transmit it to the listener?
Well, I think I'll sit in a quiet place somewhere on the coastal path or under a tree. And since I was a child, being in tune with nature, I'm just used to being really still and almost feeling like the heartbeat of the earth coming through. And I can just kind of hear it in the environment. I can hear kind of tunes coming through in the air. And it sounds a bit strange, but it's just kind of tuning in, like having a special radio station you can tune into. And I just find that the music flows. I can just pick up on music and then I just quickly write it down so I don't forget it, and then play it. Yeah.
And when you play it for the performance, do you go back into this feeling which you had originally?
Yes, I think that's an important part of it, really. I think once I've created the music, then that mood stays with me always, really, and hopefully people can pick up on it. Yeah, I think it's kind of like the Celtic and classical worlds meeting. I've kind of got like the technical ability of a classical musician, but because I listen to the landscape and I'm influenced by all the myths and legends in Cornwall, I think maybe the tune is a very strong part of what I do, and I think hopefully that comes across in my music.
I would say yes.
Thank you.
You're really a sound healer as well, Sue, right?
You think? Oh, yeah, I've never thought of that, but I guess so. Actually, having this opportunity to do this show, you learn so much, don't you? In fact, yeah, this is just dawning on me. Wow.
I mean, using your music to share and pick people up and inspire them, that is your emotional healing.
I guess it is, isn't it? Because really all I want to do with my music is for everyone to hear it and to cheer them up. That's pretty much it. I just want to make people's day go better, and if they've got a hard time, if I can just be there for them with my music, then that's a great thing.
Yeah. The good news is, and hopefully you will join us, there is Kate here in the audience, and we were thinking about to do something like singing as medicine, but we could also say music as medicine.
Yeah, that's great.
Go around that.
Yeah, great idea. Perfect.
Good. Let me see. Here's another comment. Christopher Vogelmann. I just feel the heartbeat of the earth coming through. Great image, Sue Aston.
Thank you, Christopher.
When our heart then beats in the same rhythm as Sue's, then I think she has reached what she wants.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, this is another way of communicating. It's like you're using the language of vibration. I mean, I work with crystals, right? I work with them to have as a template for healing energy. But when you're producing the sound on like the audible level, there is a direct channel to the heart. And you can do so much with that. You can do so much with that. You can also harm. I mean, one can use it for harm too, but that's not healing. That's a different thing.
But it tells only about the potency of music. You know, you can influence the emotions of people, and this is the topic of our talk here: emotions and music. Music is very, very, very powerful, and we don't even need to, the words. With the violin, there are no words.
That's true. Yeah, just melody, really, isn't it? Just melody.
Have you ever felt your own heart when you're playing? Sue, have you felt your heart? You felt your body? What's going through your mind when you're playing?
Wow, that's a very good question. I think I feel my feet on the ground. I know I definitely try and feel rooted to the ground. Also, so I don't fall over. I'm very aware of my breath because I've done lots of yoga with Phil. So I'm very aware of, being grounded, feeling in contact with the earth, and my breathing. So yeah, and when I do my warm-up exercises just to get all my fingers flowing and everything, yeah, I do use the breath. And I guess obviously my heart rate is slowing down, and it's all kind of all being in rhythm with itself. And yeah, oh, I shall have to think of that more and notice my heartbeat more.
You know what?
Because like, if a person notice their heart, they can also share it out. I mean, think of people like the Dalai Lama, who has a huge heart.
Yeah.
And he just is there, and it's like you could almost feel it instantaneously.
That's true. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, I would like to come back to the breathing, because people who are not so much into music, instruments, and so forth, they think breathing is something for singers.
Yes,
It's
I think
very important for singers, for sure. But the idea that a musician, a violinist, a pianist, whoever needs to breathe, I think it's not very common to many people to know that.
No, it's not very common. Certainly when I was at music college, it was never mentioned at all. And I think really I've just kind of figured it out because I've done a lot of yoga. And so it just makes perfect sense to me to bring the breath into a physical action, because it's just going to make all your muscles work better. You're going to be relaxed. You're going to produce a better sound. You're in more control, but not in a forced way. When when you're calming down and focusing on the breath, then everything should work in better harmony with itself. But I think you're right. A lot of most musicians don't realize that, actually.
And I think this is also the difference between a good musician and not so good musician, because as I told you in one of the comments I did on your shows, you make your violin sing.
Oh, thank you.
When you breathe with the music you are doing, you have a different arch, you have a different ongoing movement of the music. While when you don't breathe with this, it is sort of, can be perfect, but it's sort of stable. It doesn't have the flow of the heart, we can call it in a more esoteric way, but it's really a different thing when the instrument is transported like the vocal cords by the breath, and the right way of breathing, the right moment of breathing. And the breath is also a rhythmical moment in music, With the breath you can do a lot of I don't know how to name it, actually.
This comment we got here from Elana, she says it's a simple expression about your soul. Isn't that a nice way of expressing that?
It's amazing, isn't it? Thank you, Elena. Yeah, you're so right. It is. It's kind of enabling you, isn't it, to kind of get to the very heart of how you feel and communicate with people and reach them on that deep level.
And there I want to come in to tell people, you don't need to be perfect to do something, Even if you know only a tune or two on your instrument, and if you don't know any melody by singing with the voice, you just begin and pour out your heart, and people will understand. And the melody with singing comes by itself. You just improvise something. And I guess with the instrument it's the same thing. How is it?
Yeah, that's right. It is. I think it's all about being natural, isn't it? Being in touch with yourself and stripping away all the complexities of life, and it's getting just down to the simple matter of just being there, being grounded, breathing, and just playing. I suppose it's as simple as that. But I don't know. I think when you have a lot of teachers telling you that's not right, you've got to do it this way, your mind gets clogged up. That's what I think.
You get into fear of perfectionism. Yeah. As long as I'm not perfect, I cannot go out. And then what happened to me often, everything went well, and then there was an error, and then you get frozen, and for the rest of the performance, this good flow is gone.
I know. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I've played in lots of professional orchestras, and I found that not a good experience, which is such a shame, because I love classical music, I love symphonies, and the power of the orchestra is amazing. But I don't know, there's just something about the mindset of being in an orchestra. Everyone's so stressed. It's really not a happy place to be.
Yeah, let's go to the other side a moment, because this is a little bit, because we have now the recordings, the perfect recordings, and everybody who goes to a concert expects that is everything perfect. You know, we have spoiled the ears. We don't allow any little flaw anymore. So this puts the performers into such a big emotional stress.
That's
that
right.
When they cannot handle it and say, okay, then I make an error, it's not a problem, then they will be caught into it. And actually, there are so many musicians who try to work, and if somebody makes an error, he might lose his job. You know, there's somebody else who will stump.
That's right.
And so it's really a difficult way. And making music should be the place where you really are open and relaxed and give your best out into the world. Instead, in the classical, at least classical music, I don't know so much about the other, there is very much the constriction and the fear of not being good enough and needing to be perfect. Otherwise, you will lose everything.
That's right. I know it's a terrible pressure to be under, even as a violinist. You know, one of you's in charge of turning the page of the music, and if you don't do it quick enough, your desk partner will fall out with you, and it's such a pressure. The amount of classical musicians I know that are either badly injured because they're not relaxed or are on beta blockers to try and calm their nerves, it's terrible. And I don't think people, you know, realise that. And it's not healthy either. It's not a healthy environment.
So we are creating an artificial beauty for the spectators, for the audience, and inside of ourselves we are tense and cannot use the benefit of the music for ourselves.
No, that's right.
It's really a shame.
But it comes across in the music, and why does younger people go to you know, other types of music? I think it's declining, or it's detrimental for these orchestras to be that perfectionists, because it comes across, if the really great musicians, they don't buy. I don't think they buy into that. You know, when they're actually performing, you know, it's like floating on a cloud, and they take you to a place inside where, you know, an emotional place. That's very transforming. And
actually, a very good director, orchestra director, very good one, who is a mature person, him or herself, and has this embracing openness of soul. This person can guide the musicians into a different space where the music becomes pure beauty, and all this fear goes away. But there are very few around who have this capacity.
Very few people that are open-hearted, really, and can see the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
I think you, Sue, you model that in your family, because you're involving everybody, and create a growing ground for actually develop that emotional skill. It's an emotional skill, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree.
Children, and for other people to look up to you.
Oh gosh, thank you. Well, I've just know how difficult it is being a musician. It's such a hard job, and I didn't want kind of the stresses of everyday performing in an orchestra to spoil it, because it does spoil it for a lot of people. It's very pressurized. So I thought there must be a way of doing something myself that I can enjoy performing and make everybody happy. Really, that's it. Yeah, it's all about enjoyment, isn't it? And fun.
We need to find fun again in the music, yes. And still, it is important that our audience, they know that music is not just that you go there and begin. It's very, very hard work, even if it seems natural, you know. Yeah. This is the end of a long process that you can be natural in what you are doing. So, and have also the complete, how do you say, patronanza, the complete ability to control your instrument, and not that the instrument is controlling you, because if you don't have the complete ability, the interpretation you want to give out will never come up, because in the violin the chord will squeak, or the voice will something like that. You know?
That's true.
to overcome these technical barriers and be
Yes.
very aware that you are able to do it until you
Mm.
can become natural again and
Yeah,
enjoyable for others to listen to you.
that's true.
So
I
I
think
think,
we're coming to the end of our show today. And so what's your takeaway here? What would you say, Sue?
I think music is all about communicating with other humans, isn't it? It's all about spreading happiness and cheering people up. I think that's the main thing. It's to make everybody feel better. Life's hard, isn't it? So if we've got a gift or a talent, then we should share it and just make the day better for everybody, really. Reach out to as many people and hope it cheers them up.
yeah. So what you are speaking about is to get into the mindset to want to help other people with our gifts. And even, every mother needs to sing with their children, or as you did, you played all the time, you gave the example, and so they are almost naturally entering into doing music.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Yeah.
And everybody can do music in some way, one way or other, and
Yeah.
do it,
That's
and
right.
don't think about needing to be good.
It doesn't have to be
That's a
perfect.
very, very good comment.
Definitely. It doesn't need to be perfect, does it? That's not the point of it. It's about having fun and communicating with people. If there's a wrong note, so what? It's not the end of the world, is it?
It is not. Margarita, you?
Oh, go ahead.
What is your takeaway of this?
Well, I will say that I have learned a lot of things from you guys today. And my takeaway is that all music is healing, whether or not I like it or not, and I can make a choice, right? And so when I use sounds like the didgeridoo I talked about, that is like an opportunity to learn a lot about your own energy body and your energy healing capabilities. And I think everybody can make sounds with their voice, or even use something like this. So I want to end with a little singing bowl tone here. Okay? Thank you so much for listening.